In the Mario games, you fight Bowser. A lot. Granted, they've kept things fresh by having you fight him in a lot of different forms and locations over the years. On bridges, driving clown cars, driving regular cars, in space, on platforms, as a cat, as a baby, as a giant, from the inside. Sometimes they even change it up even more by having you fight his children, who are pretty much Bowser but smaller and named after different rock musicians. However, for all that Bowser-centric villainy, the Mario franchise has managed to also throw players up against a robust assortment of imaginative boss battles that had nothing to do with the Koopa King and his numerous yet indeterminately mothered offspring. I'm the Game Over Thinker, and these are the top 10 best Mario bosses besides Bowser and the Koopaling. Honorable mention, Donkey Kong. Does Donkey Kong really count as a Mario franchise boss? It could be argued that he's by now much longer been the star of his own franchise that happened to start in the same place instead, and Mario never really fought Donkey Kong in the original so much as just reach him. On the other hand, they did actually end up fighting hand-to-hand in the chronically underrated Game Boy Donkey Kong reboot, and it was one for the ages. So at the very least, an unranked honorable mention shout-out is very well owed to the first and easily one of the most memorable Mario nemesis. Number 10, The Three Little Pigheads, Super Mario Land 2. Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins was produced at a time when the Game Boy couldn't quite be relied upon to mimic the speed or precision of a console platformer. To compensate for the slower than average for a Mario game pace of play, the game features larger than average, highly detailed sprites that wind up delivering some of the more memorable looking one-off villains in the Mario canon. The Three Little Pigheads are just a terrific visual pun, especially the first time you encounter them and gradually recognize three different houses, the fact that they're pigs, and realize what it is you're fighting. 6 Golden Coins is full of fun little visual details like that, a lasting testament to one of the most visually inventive Game Boy titles of its era. Number 9, Hookbill the Koopa, Yoshi's Island. Somehow a full decade was able to pass between the releases of the original Super Mario Bros. And someone on the Nintendo design team realizing that fighting a kaiju-sized Koopa Troopa would be an awesome boss battle. But beyond just being conceptually cool, Hookbill is one of the best looking bosses in a game that's bursting with them, ingeniously utilizing the SNES Mode 7 scaling and rotation effects, in tandem with multiple sprites to create Terry Gilliam-style cutout animation effects that give the illusion of a much larger moving sprite than the system was actually capable of rendering. The result is a battle that's so much fun to watch, you almost don't want to defeat him. Number 8, Big Bob-omb, Super Mario 64. Everything about Super Mario 64 was a nail-biter. Mario, his world, his enemies, his gameplay, his entire universe had been designed around perfectly calibrated two-dimensional aesthetics. What if some of it just wouldn't translate into 3D? Big Bob-omb was the first 3D boss battle in a franchise history, and thus a whole generation of players' first experience in grappling with bigger-scale Mushroom Kingdom enemies in the third-dimensional plane. And while he may not be the coolest boss in the whole game, there was nothing quite like seeing and controlling a Mario action with that level of extra movement. Just for a moment, the battle felt more intense than it ever had before. Number 7, Fry Guy, Super Mario Bros. 2. It's the storytelling through game design that makes Fry Guy such a memorable nemesis in Mario 2. After negotiating those grim gray towers that stand in such stark contrast to the rest of the Level 4 Ice World, and having fought through multiple previous boss battles that were all variations on throwing projectiles back at enemies who had to obey the same laws of gravity you did, suddenly you're fighting a giant floating ball of fire that can move anywhere it wants and even pass through the platforms. Then, just when you think you've worked out a system and beaten him, he splits into a whole mess of tiny Fry Guys instead, and you've got to take him out all over again. It's a delightful change of pace that keeps you on your toes and reminds you just how full of surprises the world of Subcon would continue to be. Number 6, the Naval Piranha, Yoshi's Island. Piranha Plants debuted with their iconic big-lipped Venus flytrap design in Super Mario Bros. In 1985. 1 year later, Little Shop of Horrors used an extremely similar design for its giant-sized version of basically the same kind of plant monster. If you were at all aware of both, you had to be wondering when a Mario game would pull the trigger on letting us fight an Audrey 2-sized Piranha Plant, and in 1995, Yoshi's Island finally delivered it. Even in a game packed with memorable boss fights, the Naval Piranha stands out. A pitched duel against a bigger-than-ever version of one of the all-time classic Mario enemies, kicked up further with serpentine vines and a flooded dungeon setting. What a moment. Number 5, Exor, Super Mario RPG. One of the things that makes Super Mario RPG a masterpiece is the sheer amount of unforgettable, unique imagery it brought not only to the Mario franchise, but indeed gaming as a whole. And if you want a perfect example, a giant sentient sword falling from the sky and embedding itself into Bowser's castle will probably do the trick. The only thing cooler than Exor's reveal and the way he looms so literally large over the rest of the game is eventually realizing that he's not even the final boss you're heading toward a confrontation with. If that's what a henchman looks like, what the hell are we even up against? Number 4, Tatanga, Super Mario Land. Mario vs. alien invaders? It wasn't the last time it happened or the biggest scale, but Super Mario Land pitted gaming's greatest hero against his first extraterrestrial threat, and after an increasing handful of UFO-related teasing throughout the preceding 4 levels, the final push of the game drops you into the Sky Pop Jet for a classic shoot-'em-up scenario and a pitch battle with an intimidating starship for the big go-home throwdown. He may only have made one other appearance after this, but Tatanga remains one of the most refreshingly different Mario nemesis, and his blowout boss fight is the main reason why. Number 3, Birdo, Super Mario Bros. 2. A goofy-looking pink dinosaur that shoots eggs out of its blown-out anteater-esque mouth would probably always be popular just on the basis of a fun, inventive design, but Birdo's unusual history and evolution as a character, a mix of genuine retcons, fan theories, made digitally real, and possibly just some simple instruction manual tomfoolery, have helped elevate Super Mario Bros. 2 mini-boss to one of the most improbably iconic characters in all of gaming. Whether or not you consider Birdo to be gaming's first transgender character, or subscribe to any of the other interpretations of the canon, the fact is she's just fun to have around in any Mario game where she turns up, from the mainline series to the sports spin-offs to everything in between. Number 2, Wart, Super Mario Bros. 2. The landmark sole boss of a Super Mario Bros. Main series game that isn't Bowser is another green reptile who fancies himself a king. Yeah, but what Wart lacks in novelty, he makes up for in other types of novelty. The battle against Wart is the big finish of Mario 2, and the game pulls out all the stops to make it feel special, in the process rendering this big goofy-looking frog in a cape one of the most memorable encounters in the whole canon. The decor and design of his room is different from the rest of the game, he gets his own boss music, and the vegetable-spewing dream machine at the center of the chamber is utterly baffling at first, demanding that players think fast on their feet to work out the veggie catch-and-throw mechanic on the fly if they're going to have any hope whatsoever of defeating him. I keep waiting for Wart and the rest of the Subcon crew to make a grand return to the franchise, and I keep being disappointed, but we'll always have this one. Number 1, Wario, Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins. Bizarro, Black Adam, Venom, Mechagodzilla, Faker, Reverse Flash, the Abomination lore, there's nothing like a villain who's the evil doppelganger of the hero, so it's kind of incredible that it wasn't until Super Mario Land 2 that Mario finally got a dark side counterpart of his own in Wario. From a design standpoint, he's as instantly identifiable as the anti-Mario, and just the idea of a troublemaking opposite number to gaming's most relentlessly positive icon was so arresting, it's no wonder that he soon took on a life of his own, not only starring in his own sub-series, but becoming a staple of the central Super Mario regular cast in sports games, the Kart franchise, and Super Smash Bros. But let's not overlook how awesome that first battle in 6 Golden Coins was. A succession of set pieces where the power-ups that had been so vital to your success throughout the game were now turned against you. Easily one of the best showdowns in the whole series. He's the anti-hero who offers all the fun you expect from a Mario game, plus the just naughty enough edge of getting to be the bad guy, and that's why Wario is the best Mario boss who isn't Bowser or the Koopalings ever. And that's the list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Tell us about it in the comments and suggest other lists you might like to see. Remember to like, subscribe, share with all your friends, and please consider donating to the Movie Bob Patreon to support this and other series like it. Hey gang, here's a question that keeps coming up. If your handle is Movie Bob, where are your movie reviews? Well, my old reviews are in a lot of places. You'll find many of them on my YouTube channel, but you'll find the brand new ones on Geek.com, an awesome site that's also your one-stop news source for science, TV, gaming, technology, nerd culture, the works. You can find all my reviews directly by going to geek.com/author/bchipman, because that's my real name, and you can get regular updates on all my reviews and all of Geek.com's other great content by signing up for their kick-ass newsletter at subscribe.geek.com. And don't forget to also subscribe to the Geek.com YouTube channel, where you'll find the videos that accompany my reviews and tons of other great content too. Remember, that's Geek.com, the Geek.com newsletter, and Geek.com on YouTube. Make sure you don't miss out on all the latest Movie Bob reviews. You can also check out my own new website, Movie Bob Central, where you'll find my blog, links to all my work, and shop for my books, ebooks, and future Movie Bob products. And please remember to like these videos, share them with all of your friends, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching another Movie Bob production.